Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Firstly, thank you to the BITS team and all the sponsors for laying out such a fabulous event. And thank you to all the speakers who presented so far. And after me also, it's been really insightful for all of us to see this. So good afternoon, namaste, kimcho, Vanakkam, Kasakai. That's all different ways of greeting you in India, and that's the whole point of our topic is the Great Indian Plurality Challenge. And we want to delve on this. We've come into this from a whole cultural perspective, and we wanted to kind of share our take on what we believe is a very interesting era we're going into with in context to brands, culture, and typography. A profound quote by Indian Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore, writer, thinker, poet. And this kind of sets the context to as we go ahead. You know, we're using New Delhi as an example right now, but this could be up across any part of India. You know, everywhere you go across India, within about 50 miles or 100 kilometers, you know, things change. You know, everything starts to change. Whether you look at it, the landscape, you know, the weather, people, you know, they all come in different shapes and sizes as you kind of go. So it's fascinating to see how everything kind of starts changing. The food, the textures of the food, the ingredients, the smell, and then of course the language and script, you know, it all starts changing. And that becomes even more fascinating for all of us. Because none of this, you know, none of this are same. They're all distinctly apart from each other. And also that there is nothing common about them, you know, with little it's literally, there's no commonality between them. Home to over 2,000 diverse ethnic groups with unique cultures, histories, and traditions. That's India, you know. And we're also the fastest growing with a massive marketplace, fastest growing economy with a massive marketplace, youngest demographic, and of course the most populous nation in the world. So all this kind of starts building up to something very interesting. Here's a small video which we'll play. And we haven't even spoken about, we've not even shown you footage of all the high-rise buildings and of all the metro cities. But this is the beauty of it, the whole amalgamation. This whole amalgamation of histories, traditions, cultures, ethnicities, sights, sounds, languages, melodies, this boiling pot, is what makes this, one of the most complex and diverse and interesting nations, actually, as brands navigate in this chaos, And as the world gets flatter, more interconnected, companies and brands worldwide, as we all know, are looking to kind of expand their footprint into, and especially emerging markets, so Southeast Asia, across APAC region, that's still, a lot of them are markets which are reaching maturity. So obviously, I mean, there are a lot of brands who are trying to get in out there. And in India, brands also, whether it's local brands or even global brands, they're extending their reach to all corners across the length and breadth of the country, and everybody's trying to figure out their own way and their own equation to kind of navigate through this labyrinth. And of course, I mean, for us, as we were going to say, you have to find a method to this madness, or this method to this kaleidoscopic chaos, that is evolved organically without being intrusive for brands, through an understanding of cultural nuances and sensibilities. And one of the biggest challenges that companies and brands are facing is the fact that in trying to find this method is the language barrier. And we'll share some case studies with you where, that's really popped up, where the language barrier has become a big barrier for them to move ahead with. And officially, India has 22 languages and 18 different scripts. Unofficially, and this is 2010, there are over 780 languages with more than 66 different scripts. Clearly, we like to keep things simple. So, here's another example of it. So, Chennai is a state in southern India. Chennai is a city in southern India from the state of Tamil Nadu. So, generally speaking, most, in all probabilities, 9 out of 10 times, people from Chennai who speak the Tamil language will have difficulty conversing with the Hindi-speaking people of up north in New Delhi. And by the way, that's not the Sydney Opera House, that's the Baha'i Temple in New Delhi. Similarly, a Marathi from the western state of Bombay, Maharashtra, may not be able to read a Malayalam newspaper published in Kerala, which is the southern state of India. Or a Gujarati from Ahmedabad may not understand the Bengali signage in Kolkata airport. Kolkata is the eastern part of India, Gujarat is on the western part of India. And the only link, the only link language that works across India is English, and it is of course a recognized official language, and that kind of binds, that binds all the languages together. So when you're traveling between cities and states, that's at least one common denominator which helps people. We do, and if you all didn't know this, India has the second highest English-speaking population in the world. Over 10.6% of the total population in India speaks English. In fact, we have a larger English-speaking population than people in England. That's also exactly how Indians consume more Scotch whiskey that is produced in Scotland. So yeah, that's a fact, both. So, but the vast majority of Indians speak, read and write their own native language and scripts, which you will see as, we're going to share our first case study for a client of ours. I'll just play another video, and then that'll help the context to what I'm going to say.
From the gully to the grounds, from the street to the skies, चारे तरफ वाद छे, आग छे, thunder no tarkhat छे. A power so electric, you feel it as it flows. Every second, every moment, this titan energy grows. Sounds like thunder, Titans need the heart. Strike like lightning. Visually no prahar. Back on the pitch. Back for more. Back to defend. That winning score. Titans need the heart. Amade champions. हमें चाहिए तैयार. We are the
Gujarat Titans. Titans.
We did the season campaign for the Gujarat Titans. It's part of the Indian Premier League, which is the largest cricket league in the world, and the Gujarat Titans are literally right up there on top. And we did the entire season campaign across branding, advertising, everything. And we also helped them create a new typography system. And this was that whole multilingual point which you will see. So this was some of the communication which we did. It started off with English. We were fortunate enough to do the world's largest cricket stadium, Ahmedabad, the Narendra Modi Stadium. So this is all part of the stadium branding which we had done. And this is just a series of outdoors where you will see a multilingual brand campaign in English, Hindi, Gujarati across touch points, film, outdoor, press, social media, you name it. We had all touch points, multilingual. And because of this, we had our own team, but we specifically hired a Gujarati copywriter from Mumbai who was hired to translate all the campaign ideas, slogans, and we had to kind of make it short that it also is authentic to Gujarati. So we did this, and we made all all the translations done, and then we sent them to the client who was in Ahmedabad in Gujarat for approval, saying, guys, we've adapted this. This is what we're going to go out. This is from a Gujarati copywriter. There should be no problem with it. This is the WhatsApp text I get back. And what was more surprising in this is they didn't say please. So this was very interesting for us when they said it's Ahmedabad Gujarati and not Mumbai Gujarati. And this got us thinking, and in fact, we used this learning for another client of ours, which I won't delve in right now, that the Gujarati spoken in Mumbai, owing to its large Gujarati population, is in many ways different from Gujarati spoken in Ahmedabad. So merely translating brand communication into regional languages falls short. So you can no longer work with the whole philosophy of near enough is good enough. It has to be more than that. Either you get it to the point or you don't do it. And which is why it is imperative to craft communications that consider, regional disparities, local sensitivities, dialects, and cultural subtleties. Back in the day, in its glory days, our national carrier, Air India, had this spot on. They had this spot on with getting the cultural context right, the cultural nuances right, and they did a fabulous job about it. Similarly, in India, Coca-Cola, they took up the word of thanda. Thanda in the Indian language, in the Hindi language, means cold, but it's a mark of hospitality when guests come to your house or office, they will say, kuch thanda loge, which means, can I serve you something cold, or garam, which is hot. So they made thanda synonymous with Coke, and that became like a kind of a cultural the nuance what Coke got on was so spot on that they literally, their market share and penetration rose by over 50% in about 3 years. So that was like a fabulous of what they did. Pepsi followed suit with their own version of Ye Dil Mange Wo, which basically means my heart craves for more Pepsi. But again, you can see this whole, English and the local dialect kind of how they tried to bring it in together. Local brands like Fevicol, which is probably the Indian equivalent of Araldite, an iconic Indian brand, where they used, like for up north, using politics and elections, and they use cultural nuances, and people got the message. Similarly, an iconic brand, Amul, which is India's largest dairy brand manufacturer. They are known for social commentary, and again, they did the regional sponsors for the Argentinian football team. So they do all this topical thing, but it resonates with people because they will do it somewhere up north, down south, and it'll always be the cultural context will always be spot on. And that's the other point also to this is, due to its young demographics and aspirations and ambitions, brands and companies also need to understand and recognize this new India, in an authentic way while being culturally and socially relevant. We did this for another client of ours, a men's care brand called Phi. And you can see this was their original logo, which we inherited, men, Phi men. And this was the male self-care category of deodorants, body washes, etc. And this is the men's care category in India is still very testosterone heavy, chest thumping, big biceps kind of category, And that's what we said. Look, how do we now make this? How do we make this more relevant to a more? How do we disarm the brand and make this, for the everyday guy? So we started off with creating a whole simple, clear, bold typography system, a design system, a new logo identity. I'm going to skip to it because I know I've got about 5 minutes left. And we landed with a positioning called "It's a Guy Thing," and suddenly that kind of made it very disarming for the brand, and we helped increase market share for that. But with that, we also helped create a whole typography system, a typography style, and even a tone of voice, which, we can take this offline later, but we helped create their new packaging with this. The whole idea is to stand out in shelves when you go to the supermarkets. So this is just some of the work. And how it translated into communication. And, most Indian languages have their own unique scripts, and which are distinctly different from each other. And in most regions and states, this is becoming mandatory from brands to start communicating in the local script. And what's happening is the new brands, even the local ones, they're still not prepared of how to go about doing it and what they need to do about it. And to the point of this is the more evolved marketers. So we were fortunate to have been commissioned by, to help work on the Devanagari logo for the global luxury brand Bulgari. And we worked with them on a collaborative and an iterative process to kind of make it as spot on so that it could go, and I'll just take you through it. So this was how it all worked. So our primary goal was to ensure that the Devanagari logo visually aligns with the core brand identity, overall brand personality, and seamlessly integrates with other iterations of the logo, in which case you saw the Arabic one, which we played. So this is it. The challenge becomes more acute for brands and businesses across categories, which are more than this. So like FMCG, telecom, the bigger the brands, the more mass consuming it, that's where the challenge becomes even more. And it goes beyond merely creating brand logos, in different languages. It has to be a resilient typographic system, integrated communications, which all comes together to start moving to addressing these local sensitivities and cultural barriers. And this means typography is one part of it, integral, but brand strategy, marketing, graphic design, content creation, they all have to work together to build it. And this is the kind of narrative which works with brand new type also, is that we bring all this in together, and that's when it becomes a more robust offering. Even clients get the more bigger strategic picture. And that shows us to case study 4, which is for India's largest media company, and we've collaborated with a lot of partners where we help create 6 different scripts. I'm moving a bit fast right now because I'm aware of the time, but we helped, when they were relaunching and repositioning their brand marks, we helped create across 10 languages, 6 scripts across 10 languages, which were the brand marks, which then further moved on to us creating the 6 custom typefaces for these 6 scripts. So these were the ones which we helped create. And again, the whole primary focus was to make sure that it's legible within the brand tonality, distinctive, and each regional script does not look out of place and it's inconsistent with it. So brand marketing, strategy, design are all crucial tools for communication development as we kind of move ahead and navigate these waters for brands. And what truly matters is how effectively, obviously, these brands use it. And in what we call the era of blending, not branding, blending, where everything starts looking the same now. And no offense for people who've anyway kind of worked on it, this is our own personal point of view, but transitioning from distinct individuality towards a homogenized and uninspiring uniformity, many brands are beginning to look indistinguished and mundane. And that's the whole point, is brands need to adapt to different cultures and not the other way around. Don't expect a culture to adapt or conform to your brand. So, the whole point is about a multidisciplinary and a collaborative approach, which brings us to our last case study, which is Taxila, which was for us a truly integrated piece of project where we helped, we started off with the brand repositioning, which was structure, strategy, narrative, tonality. We moved on to creating bespoke brand assets across typography, logos, textures, and then finally dovetailing into the brand identity system across typography, design, colors, templates. So we started off with the font, which was in Devanagari and Latin. Taxila is one of India's most respected and top educational societies. So they have a bunch of schools and stuff. And while the text we created had to be immersive, engaging, and readable, yet it should be distinct enough to stand apart, in other collateral by itself. So this was a very interesting topic for us. And then, of course, we helped create the logos for them, the identity using the new typeface, what we created. This was the world and the ecosystem which we helped create across identity, strategy, typography, design. And I'll just quickly skim through all the work. The animation's a bit slow, but we're almost done. So that's it. So the core reason, and these were all the interesting things which when we set up Brand New Type was about kind of getting all this together and saying that how we approach brands in a more differentiating way rather than going just as a typography outfit or as an advertising outfit. So we're one of the few creative companies who are fortunate enough to have these integrated skill sets in-house. So we work with brands at a more business strategy level, and we help them craft their narrative across typography, across experience design, across advertising. And that is for us the start of this conversation of the great Indian Plurality Challenge. Thank you, and this is Brand New Type. We'd love to chat with you all more after the conference and get a sense of this, but there's some very interesting stuff which we should talk about. Thank you.